Alright, in this video we're checking out the EMAX Tinyhawk-II. This is obviously a follow-up to the original Tinyhawk and the Tinyhawk-S, and it kind of combines some of the features of both, I think, in some ways. But let me just go over all the stuff that comes in the box first, and then we'll talk about the drone. Obviously, you can see it's quite a bit different. So, in the case, you got the same nice case as before. Your spare props are going to be in here. Comes with two different types of batteries. You got a 1S450 and a 2S300. This is very similar to exactly the same batteries that come in the Tinyhawk S. So if you have that, then you can use the same batteries. And if you have the original Tinyhawk with the 1S450s, you can use these as well. You get some spare parts here. This is a spare battery connector. You get a screwdriver, some spare rubber bands, and some rubber grommets, and some spare screws. I think some of those are for the motor screws. I think those are for here. And then you get a USB charger. You plug it into like a power bank or some other USB power brick, for example, an adapter. Plug in your 1S batteries here and your 2S batteries here via the balance connector right here. Get a manual, pretty good manual as always, and then you get this warning card here regarding 2S. And when you go on 2S, you need to be switching it over to PID Profile 2 and Rate Profile 2. So I made a mistake, and you'll see that one in the flight demos, that I only switched it to PID Profile 2, but left it on Rate Profile 1. Rate Profile 1 is for 1S, and it's very, very low, so you can't do like much acro. It's going to have higher rates on Rate Profile 2, so you could leave it on Rate Profile 1. It's not going to affect tune, but you definitely have to switch it to Rate Profile 2 for 2S, otherwise you might have a flyaway on if you have it on the 1S PID profile when you plug in and try and take off on 2S, so be aware of that. Alright, so let's talk about the drone by itself here. No battery, and it's coming in at 31 grams, pretty much on the nose, and that's what it states in the manual. And they've kept the same props here, the same prop size here. I think it's about a 40mm prop now. They're including the turtle mode props now, the 4-bladed as default. And they are now switching the camera out. So instead of the camera that a lot of people complained of before, now they are using the Runcam Nano 2 with this new mount here. And it is completely adjustable in terms of the angle. So you can have a very shallow angle here if you want to fly 1S and kind of slow, or you can have a very aggressive angle here if you want to fly outdoors on 2S and do acro. You got the best of both worlds here with this camera and this mount here. Very nice. They have upgraded the video transmitter. So previously it was 25 milliwatts only. Now it is power switchable from PID mode, 25 milliwatts, 100 milliwatts, and 200 milliwatts maximum power. They did state that the video transmitter is improved even on 25 milliwatts compared to the old video transmitter. So some of you guys had were flying in some environments where you're having a lot of additional breakup on 25 milliwatts. This supposedly is a lot better. I never really had any issues with 25 milliwatts on the original Tinyhawk where I fly in my house. It seemed to be fine, so I didn't really notice that much of a difference. It seemed about the same, but even on the old one, I had a pretty solid signal in my house. So it really depends on the environment you're flying in. So they are saying that if you were having some issues on the old video transmitter on 25 milliwatts, even on 25 milliwatts on the new one, it should be improved, and you have the higher power up to 200 milliwatts if you want to go that route. Of course, going to higher power will eat up the battery quicker. I think the motors on here are the same as Tinyhawk S, since it does 1S and 2S. It's the 0802 16,000 kV. And now they have this new feature here where you have these LEDs and in the ducts. So they do change color based on how much throttle you give. So I will put a little B-roll clip in here on what that looks like. It basically just looks like it's lights up the ducts, and this looks pretty cool if you're flying in like a sort of darker environment, especially if people are watching a line of sight. Obviously, if you're flying at FPV, you're not going to be able to tell what's going on with the LEDs. This is more for spectators. Now, as before, the receiver antenna, as you can see here, comes out, and it is a built-in SPI receiver. It does a D8 to 16 mode. It comes in D8 mode default. You can add additional receivers if you want. As you can see, there's some solder pads right there, TX1, RX2, and TX2. So if you want to use a FlySky or Spectrum receiver, you can solder on. That hasn't changed from before. That looks to be about the same as it was before. In terms of the frame here, obviously it's a new design. I think they changed it to make it a little bit more robust. It's still pretty flexy like before. And I've had a few crashes. It does get scuffed up if you crash it onto concrete or asphalt sidewalks, that kind of thing. Very interesting design. I think they've routed some of this stuff out here for weight savings, and honestly, I can't tell too much of a difference in terms of durability. It does seem to be about the same. I never really had too many issues with the old frame. I did have the spokes here break on a lot of the older frames, especially the original design, but I think they've had like 2 or 3 iterations since the original design that I haven't actually had a chance to fly. So this is probably like the 4th or 5th iteration of their design, obviously now with the totally new canopy here for the camera. So it does seem to be more robust than before. We'll have to see how it holds up over a long period of time, but no complaints about that. Obviously here we got the rubber bands for the 2 different sizes of batteries. This is obviously the same as what was on the Tinyhawk-S. Anyway, so overall I think EMAX did a pretty good job on the PID tunes on the 2 different profiles for 1S and 2S, just like they always have done. Very, very controllable on 1S and also on 2S, no issues with that. You get a little bit of jello in very bright sunlight on this canopy on the RunCam Nano 2, but that's pretty much a RunCam Nano 2 issue, I think. Not a whole lot you can do about that unless you add a lot more weight here in the canopy to really make this rigid, but then you're sacrificing the weight, and I'm not sure if you want to carry around extra weight for something like this that's this tiny just to reduce jello. Anyway, so I'm going to show you some flights here, 1S and 2S. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below of the new design and how you think it'll do in the long run compared to the original Tinyhawk and the Tinyhawk-S. Anyway guys, that'll do it for this video, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Pretty smooth. It's really noisy here today with all the gardening going on. We got a lawnmower to my left and a lawnmower to my right. Now, these rates are still really low. I haven't really changed anything. I'm already getting a low battery warning. And yeah, so I wouldn't use this for acro. It's just a little heavy and underpowered for acro. But for outdoors, you can go a little faster. Yeah, I think the battery I've got is not a good one. Already getting a low battery warning. The tune seems nice. It's pretty smooth. That was pretty close. It's not giving me a land now warning yet. Yeah, I'm still on 25 milliwatts. The transmitter seems pretty good. Never really flew the original Tinyhawk over here, so I'm not really sure how that compares. Now it's giving me a land now warning. I'll try and charge this battery up again and see if we can get a little bit longer flight. It's only 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. Alright, so I'm going to try another flight here. I'm going to change my rates. Let's see. 0.6 and 0.1, so I'm gonna bump this up a little. So pretty low. And there's a lot of expo on here. Bring that down. It does make it feel smoother if there's a lot of expo and low rates. But I want to do some flips and rolls, so that's why I'm switching this. And then there is a throttle limit on here. Probably because we're running 2S instead of 1S. And save. Alright, let's see how this feels. Alright. Alright, a little bit better. Feel like I have a little more authority. Yep. Yeah, this battery is just not that great. You get a land now warning on full throttle. Pretty big sag, but it's not sagging as much now. I got a lot of camera angles, so I can go pretty quick low to the ground like this. You can see I'm getting a land now, low battery warning pretty quick. Yeah, so I think with these motors and this weight and everything, it's just not really an acro flyer. It's just, I think it's going to be more for your like maybe large indoor space track flying, racing, and then on 1S you could do obviously indoor racing as well. But if you saw my Mobula 6 video, that one is much lighter. Obviously smaller props and everything, but because it's so light, you can do acro with that one. You want to go with really high kV motors. And I'm getting a land now warning at 2 minutes on this this particular charge. I'm gonna bring it in. So yeah, it's about what you can expect, about 2.5 minutes of flight if you're doing trying to do some hard acro, and it's not all that impressive either.